The 6000 series has an advanced trigger acquisition mode called Save on Trigger, and it allows us to define an advanced trigger on a waveform to look for any random anomalies and then use an alarm to save the chosen waveform to disk. So the first thing we're going to do here is to define the advanced trigger. So I'll stop the acquisition and select the advanced trigger library. So the trigger I'm going to be using is pulse width trigger, so I'm going to be looking for a pulse which is wider than normal width of this sequence. So I'm going to be looking for a negative pulse, and I'm going to set the threshold to 400 millivolts, and the pulse we're going to be looking for is one that's got a width of greater than 1.5 microseconds. So we close. So we can just run the acquisition now and see if any, and here we see we are triggering on the anomalies now. So I'll stop the acquisition. So the second thing we have to do now is to define the alarm to save these chosen waveforms to file. So this is under the Tools menu, selecting Alarms, and we want to capture the waveform. So we select Capture, and the event, then we can take an action, which in this case we want to select Save the current buffer to a file. So the file name I'm going to choose is Save on Trigger. I'm going to replace that waveform. So we're going to select a file name called Save on Trigger, and I'm going to enable the save condition. So we apply that. Okay. So now we can run the acquisition. So now we're looking for the triggers, and we can see every time we have a trigger now, we can see it is actually creating a file onto the disk. So at this point I could stop the acquisition, and we could reload then any of those saved waveforms. So we could select File, Open, and here indeed is all the waveforms that have been saved to disk. So we could just open any one of those, and there we see one of the selected waveforms with the anomaly that has been saved as a hard copy.